Hello, this is Pete Luce, hypnotherapist from Exeter in Devon, UK. Also working in Plymouth. And here's another video to explain a little bit about hypnosis. And in this video, I've called this video "I Don't Do That." That's inspired by a song by the late rock singer Meatloaf. And in my case, I'm talking about the kind of hypnosis that I don't do. And most hypnotherapists like to talk a lot about what they do, but I think it sometimes saves time to explain what you don't do, so that people don't waste their own time phoning me and wanting things that I'm not going to do. So the things I don't do come into three categories. And the first category is things that other people could do better. Because I'm a specialist, and you find in any job, people that have been doing it for a while, they tend to specialise. Okay, when people start off, they're a jack of all trades, they do a bit of everything. And then after a while, they home in on what they do best and what they like best to do, which is hopefully the same thing. And they start to specialise. So I specialise in anything to do with overcoming fear, anxiety, phobia, post-traumatic stress disorder, this whole area. And I also specialise in the more long-term work of helping people to rebuild their personality after their entire personality has been damaged by the way that they've been treated, either in childhood or in adult life. So those are my specialties. And there are other people who are very happy to specialise in completely different things. So one of those areas, for example, most obvious one would be what's called hypnobirthing. That's hypnosis to help women through childbirth. And if you Google hypnobirthing, you'll find whole lists of registered hypnobirthing practitioners, and you'll find the great majority of them are female midwives. So not only they've got the knowledge of the birth process and of what ought to happen, and of also what could potentially go wrong, but also being women, and generally women who have given birth themselves, they've got a physical understanding of the whole thing, which a man simply can't have, to the same level. So I'd recommend you go with one of those if that is what you want. I have done hypnobirthing in the past with a few clients, people who were already very well known to me, and who wanted me to do it because they knew me and trusted me already, and very good success. But if you're coming to it fresh, I'd suggest you go to a specialist hypnobirthing practitioner. The second thing, similar, is sports. People who want hypnosis to improve their sports performance. I keep very fit myself. I go to a gym, I run, but I don't do any competitive sports because I'm just not interested. Okay, and so for that reason, you're better off really seeing someone who does your sport, or who at least understands enough about your sport to know what your problem is. If you're like what do you call it with darts, and darts, isn't it? It's there's some name they have for it anyway, where they freeze up or something. I don't know what they do. You're better off going with somebody who just understands what you're trying to do in that sport. And there are plenty of people like that. There are plenty of people, often people who have been into sports coaching, and then they learn a bit of hypnosis and they apply that specifically to that sport. Okay, and again, you can look them up. The third thing is people who want to lose weight, and of course that's a very big area. And a lot of people think, hypnosis is the way to go, because a lot of people being overweight, overeating, is psychological. It's people who've got an emotional relationship with food, basically. However, that's only one strand of the problem, one part of the problem. The other parts of the problem are what people eat, the kind of food that is available to people in modern times, which is actually quite different to the kind of food that was available even 50 years ago. And then the third thing is what people do, their level of physical activity, which is a great deal less for most people nowadays than it used to be. Okay, so when I was at school, 240 boys in my class and only 2 of them were overweight. It's less than 1%. Nowadays it would be immensely more than that. And the human body hasn't changed, but people's diet has changed, people's lifestyle has changed, and also to some extent the type of bacteria in people's gut has changed. So you really need somebody that understands all of those areas and can help you to change your lifestyle and change your diet permanently, not go on a diet, but just permanently change the way that you eat, as well as addressing the psychological side of it. Now, if people are using, for example, binge eating as a way of sort of medicating themselves to take their mind off other problems, I might be able to help you with those problems. And then when you sort out those problems, the eating will take care of itself, because you'll stop binging, because you won't have any need to binge. But that's a different area. So there's the first group of things that I don't deal with. The second group of things I don't deal with is where although hypnosis works in these areas, people's expectations of it are unrealistic. Okay, and I don't want to, mislead people by responding to their unrealistic expectations and saying, oh yeah, I can definitely do that. Now, the obvious example there is smoking, stopping smoking. Some people still think that hypnosis is mainly about stopping people smoking. That's absolutely not the case. Used to be half of my clients used to be people who wanted to stop smoking. These days, hardly anybody even calls me about that particular issue, because the amount of smoking in this country is so greatly reduced. Now, the truth about hypnosis for stopping smoking is that the success rate for the best hypnotherapy stop smoking programs, the success rate after 1 year is about 1 in 3. Okay? And that's programs where you have about 6 sessions of hypnosis. Okay? So certainly not what most people offer, which is just 1 session. There's reasons why people who are still smoking after all this time find it so difficult to stop. But it is quite a big thing, stopping smoking. And if you're thinking that, oh yeah, I'll just go to a hypnotist and he'll put me under, and and then he'll wake me up and I won't want to smoke anymore. No, it ain't that simple. And so when people come with those expectations, I'd rather just say, no, what you're looking for isn't going to happen. Now, there may well be people out there who are happy to see people for like 6 sessions and really set up a whole proper plan for them of how they're going to stop smoking and stay stopped, and how they're going to deal with all of the temptations, all of the friends that are going to push cigarettes at them, what they're going to do when they're stressed, what they're going to do when they're drinking, what they're going to do after they've had sex or have had a meal or whatever, all the times when they usually smoke. But it's something that needs to be really thought through properly. When you think about it, I mean, when I was a nurse, I worked with heroin addicts and alcoholics for a while, and you find that the recovered addicts, including the most of the staff in the detox centre where I was working, they all smoked. Great majority of them were smokers, and quite heavy addictive smokers at that. So you see, people who can quit heroin, they still don't quit smoking. So, and yet heroin addicts get far more help from the health service than people who are wanting to stop smoking. So it's a big problem. But like I say, it's not an area that I really deal with. The other area where people have unrealistic expectations, and I don't want to kind of, collude with those unrealistic expectations, is past life regression. Most people that approach me wanting past life regression are wanting something that I don't think is possible. They're wanting really clear, specific knowledge of who they were in their past lives. Okay, they want to know, were they a man or a woman? Where did they live? What was their job? How did they live? How did they die? I'm not at all convinced that you can generally get that information through past life regression. Okay, I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that I have knowledge of some of my own past lives, but I don't think that hypnosis can really deliver what past life regression practitioners often claim to be able to deliver, and that's why I don't do it, because I don't want to practice under false pretenses. Okay, I'll just say one thing. The vast majority of people in the world at any time in history are very ordinary people. So if you want to know who you were in the past life, you were probably much the same as in this life. Okay, if you're a very ordinary person in this life, you probably were an ordinary person in the Middle Ages or in ancient Egypt, or however far back you go. Okay, you probably weren't a king or a queen. The third thing is the third area that I don't deal with is the kinds of hypnosis that not only I don't do them, but I don't think anyone else should either. Okay, and there's a few times I've been contacted by people, usually men, and what they want me to do is hypnotise their partner, their wife, whatever, and basically interrogate her under hypnosis, because they think she's lying to them, and they imagine that hypnosis can get to the truth. Well, firstly, it can't. People can lie under hypnosis just as well as in their ordinary state of mind. And the only difference is they'll lie much more convincingly, and they'll probably believe their own lies if they're lying under hypnosis. They're almost kind of changing reality. So there is actually no way of making someone tell the truth. Okay? Lie detectors do not work. That's why the police in this country do not use lie detectors. They are not admissible in court. Okay? What they do in America is up to them. Okay? But in this country, it is recognised that you cannot tell from a machine. A machine cannot tell you whether somebody's lying or telling the truth. All it can tell you is whether somebody's anxious. That's what a lie detector measures. Okay. Insofar as it works at all, it only works because most people feel a bit anxious when they're lying. Okay. But a psychopath feels no anxiety at all when they're lying. A person who's told the same lie so many times that it's become their reality feels no anxiety when they're lying. And a person who's hooked up to a lie detector, especially if they're actually accused of a criminal offence, they're probably going to be very anxious anyway, which is going to obviously interfere with the results. They're going to be anxious. A lot of people are anxious when they tell the truth, because they're thinking, he might not believe me. He probably doesn't believe me. Well, he obviously doesn't believe me. Otherwise, why has he demanded that I have a lie detector test? Okay, so lie detectors don't work, and hypnosis is also not a means of detecting lies. Okay, the more important reason why I would never go along with that kind of request is it's just abusive, basically. I do hypnotherapy for the benefit of the person whom I'm hypnotizing and no one else. Okay, so somebody brings along some other person to see me. I don't want to know. I'm not interested. Hypnotherapy is a way to help you to be better, you the client. It's not about making you more acceptable to some other person. And to be quite frank, if you're really thinking of going to those lengths of, getting somebody hypnotized or getting them to take a lie detector test because you don't believe what they're telling you, then that shows there's something very, very, very badly wrong with your relationship. And you should definitely be having relationship counselling rather than hypnosis if that is your issue. And to be quite frank, there's probably not much mileage left in that relationship if that is where you've got to. So that's enough for today. I hope you found that interesting. I expect if there's hypnotherapists watching this, some of them might be quite annoyed at some of what I've said, but it's my opinion based on 30 years of experience. So with that, I wish you a good day and thank you for listening.